Life is a series of connections and separations, a journey filled with relationships that shape us, inspire us, and sometimes challenge us. Yet, at some point, we must confront an undeniable truth. People come into our lives, and they also leave. Whether through distance, disagreement, or the natural course of time, relationships evolve and often fade. This can leave us asking difficult questions. How do I let go of someone I care about? How can I detach without losing a part of myself? These questions can feel overwhelming, but the philosophy of Stoicism, especially the insights of Marcus Aurelius, offers a roadmap for navigating such emotional turbulence. The Stoics were not strangers to the struggles of the human heart. Their wisdom lies not in suppressing emotions, but in understanding them, mastering them, and ultimately regaining control. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about finding clarity and peace amid the chaos. In this article, we'll explore 5 powerful Stoic rules to help you emotionally detach from someone. These principles, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, are not just theoretical concepts. They are practical tools you can use to reshape your emotional responses and reclaim your inner stability. 1. Embrace the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This insight highlights how much of our emotional pain comes from our attachment to our own narratives about people and relationships. We often cling to an idealized version of someone or a story we've created about their importance in our lives. But here's the reality. All relationships are temporary. One day, someone is close to you, and the next, they may be gone. This isn't pessimism, it's a simple fact of life. People may leave due to physical distance, emotional shifts, or even death. By accepting the impermanence of relationships, we free ourselves from the expectation that they must last forever. Think of holding sand in your hand. The tighter you grip it, the faster it slips away. Life works much the same way. When we try to cling to people or situations, we often hasten their departure or make their loss more painful. I recall a friendship that lasted over a decade. It was a bond filled with shared dreams, late-night talks, and mutual support. But over time, things changed. As much as I resisted, the connection weakened, and the emotional weight of holding on became unbearable. It was only when I accepted that the friendship had run its natural course that I felt a profound sense of relief. Marcus Aurelius would remind us, "Accept that all things will end." This acceptance doesn't eliminate sadness, but softens its sting, allowing us to move forward. 2. Govern your emotions with rational thought. When emotions run high, it's easy to feel powerless. Pain, sadness, and anger seem to take over, dictating our thoughts and actions. But Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics teach us a vital truth. Emotions are not reality. They are the product of our thoughts and interpretations, not the events themselves. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that our emotional state is not controlled by what happens to us, but by how we interpret those events. Consider a breakup. It's natural to replay conversations, overanalyze actions, and wonder, why did this happen? Could I have done something differently? These thoughts fuel emotional suffering. The Stoic approach, however, is to focus on facts, not assumptions. Instead of asking, why, ask, what? What actually happened? What is within my control? For example, imagine you text someone you care about, and they don't respond. Your mind might spiral. Did I say something wrong? Do they not care about me? The reality, though, is simpler. They haven't responded. Everything beyond that is your interpretation. By questioning your thoughts and focusing on what you know to be true, you can prevent your emotions from escalating. In my own life, I've experienced this countless times. A close friend once stopped replying to our conversation mid-discussion. Initially, I was consumed by worry and frustration. But when I paused and examined the facts, I realized I had no evidence of a problem. When they finally responded, it turned out they'd simply been busy, unaware of the storm I'd created in my mind. By training ourselves to think rationally, we can reduce the emotional storms that often feel beyond our control. 3. Practice negative visualization. At first, the idea of imagining worst-case scenarios might seem counterproductive. Why dwell on what could go wrong? But this Stoic exercise is not about pessimism, it's about preparation. Negative visualization involves mentally rehearsing the loss of something or someone you care about. This practice doesn't make you indifferent, it makes you resilient. By imagining life without certain people or circumstances, you lessen the shock if those losses occur. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do not be disturbed by imagining the entirety of life's troubles at once. Rather, meet each with calm and self-control." I practiced this during a time when my best friend was planning to move abroad. The thought of their absence was overwhelming. But instead of suppressing my fear, I embraced it. I visualized my daily life without them, imagining new routines and connections. When they eventually left, the pain was manageable because I had already prepared my mind. By acknowledging the impermanence of all things, we learn to value what we have while we have it, and let go gracefully when the time comes. 4. Focus on what you can control. One of Stoicism's core principles is the distinction between what we can and cannot control. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this repeatedly. Our thoughts, actions, and responses are within our control. Everything else is not. When we try to control the uncontrollable, other people's feelings, actions, or external events, we set ourselves up for frustration and heartache. Emotional detachment is not about ignoring others. It's about releasing the need to control outcomes. In a past relationship, I constantly tried to make things work. I planned dates, sent thoughtful messages, and made endless efforts to show I cared. But no matter what I did, my partner seemed distant. The cycle of trying harder and feeling rejected was exhausting. It wasn't until I embraced the Stoic principle of focusing on my own actions rather than their responses that I found peace. Letting go of the desire to control others is liberating. It allows you to focus on nurturing your inner well-being instead of chasing external validation. 5. See the bigger picture. When we're deeply attached to someone, it's easy to lose perspective. We might feel like our world revolves around them, making their absence or rejection unbearable. But Stoicism encourages us to zoom out and reflect on the larger narrative of our lives. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Our fears and desires are but fleeting moments in the vastness of time." By adopting this broader perspective, we can see that even the most intense emotional pain is temporary. Think back to a previous relationship or hardship that once felt insurmountable. Over time, those wounds healed and life moved forward. This is the natural rhythm of existence. In my own experience, I once endured a breakup that felt like the end of my world. But with time I realized that this person, while important, was only one chapter in my story. Their departure didn't define me. It was simply part of my journey. By reflecting on the bigger picture, we learn to detach not out of apathy, but from a place of understanding. Life is ever-changing, and no single person or event defines our worth or happiness. Final thoughts. Emotional detachment isn't about shutting down or becoming numb. It's about reclaiming your power and finding peace amid life's uncertainties. By embracing impermanence, practicing rational thought, and focusing on what you can control, you free yourself from the emotional weight of attachment. Ask yourself, do I control my emotions, or do they control me? The answer holds the key to your emotional freedom.